Hello, you join me today for something a little different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through a motorcycle crash that I had way back in 2005 that I actually captured on video. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll show you the video and I'll talk through the dynamics and how it happened and such. But first, let me set a little bit of the background, okay? This crash happened in 2005, 16 years ago now, which seems insane to me. I started riding in 1997. This happened in 2005 on circuit at a place called Rockingham Motor Speedway, which unfortunately closed a couple of years ago. But back then, it was a fully functioning race circuit, track days, etc. I'd done around 20 track days at this point without any serious issues. And I was riding a 2003 model Suzuki GSXR 750, the K3 model. In terms of performance, that bike weighed around 166 kilos and put out about 130 brake horsepower, so a fairly potent weapon. Now, back in 2005, digital sports cameras weren't a thing. GoPro was in its infancy. It was still a year away from releasing its first digital camera. Everything was analog. And for some reason I've still got the camera, so I thought I'd use it as a prop here. So this is the camera I captured the footage on. I'll get my excuses in early here for the poor quality, by the way. And it's a tape. Remember these things? Takes tapes. Had this underneath the rear seat of the bike, a load of cables run into a bullet cam, which, if I remember correctly, I had mounted on the front mudguard. Okay? Right, so that's the scene. GSXR 750, 2005, Rockingham Motor Speedway. Oh, one other thing I should mention, as you will see, as it will become evident very, very quickly when you start watching the video, is my ham-fisted riding, missed the apex, stuffing up, bounced down the road on my arse. Okay, let's walk through the video, watch the video, and then I'll talk you through exactly what happened. Okay, so the first thing you'll notice there is some pretty terrible riding on my part. I missed the apex by maybe a metre or more, ham-fisted on the throttle, back end loses traction over the bars. That is a textbook high side, okay? And if you don't know what a high side is, allow me to explain, employing the use of one of my son's toy motorcycles, okay? This one's a Kawasaki ZX-10R, you know, close enough. So what happens is, you go into the corner, tip the bike over, the back end breaks traction. Okay, so the back wheel starts sliding, it grips, because what you tend to do is once that happens, you tend to shut off the throttle, so the bike will grip, and once it grips, with that energy going sideways, that inertia, it will flip upright, and then what happens is it launches the rider. Okay, it's a very, very common accident. Okay, it happens a lot. You look at MotoGP. If you go onto Google, go onto YouTube and search high side MotoGP, you'll see loads of examples. Marc Marquez has had some bad ones. Jorge Lorenzo's had some terrible ones in his time. I don't want to step on any copyright infringements, so I'm not going to put them here. However, I'm going to put a series of images up on the screen that I captured from my time as a race photographer in British Superbikes. Okay, this is Pete Spalding, if I remember correctly, and it was at Alton Park. So you can see, once again, from these images, loses the back end, the bike flips upright, it launches him. The opposite to a high side is what's known as a low side. Okay, so similar, starts off in the same way. The back end breaks traction, starts to slide, but instead of gripping and sitting up, it just carries on sliding. It's a much less dangerous and painful accident to have. Now, what normally happens in that scenario with a high side is once that bike flips, it tends to flip the bike over. Got that in there. Tends to flip the bike over end on end and destroy it more often than not. I got extremely lucky, as you'll see from the video, where my bike fell on its side and just spun. Let me play back the video again. I'm going to play it back in slow motion at 25% speed, and you'll see the motion and the movement of the bike. So hopefully that makes a bit more sense. So, you know, start to understand the dynamics and the physics of how that kind of crash comes about. I was also, as well as having a camera on my bike, there was a photographer there, and he grabbed these few images of me sliding down the track looking rather ungraceful. In terms of damage, like I say, I was really lucky because the bike from outside just spun. So I've got pictures of some of the damage. I'll whack those up on the screen as well, so you can see those. But if memory serves me correctly, I managed to fix the bike for about £600, which is incredibly fortunate because, like I say, quite often it will destroy the bike. You know, it will land on its front forks, and then the rear swing arm will get bent, and there'll be bits of bike going everywhere. So it's definitely not an accident you want to have. Not that you want to have any accident. So there you have it. In terms of damage to me, okay, now I went over the bar. I've looked back at this extensively. I went over the bars, as you'll have seen from the video. Now I actually came down. My helmet was all smashed down the side. My shoulder and my ankle. It took years for my shoulder and my ankle to recover, to feel as strong as they were before. I came down on my head, which probably accounts for many things in later life. What I did get is amnesia. I can't remember anything about this accident at all. In fact, I couldn't remember anything from the preceding 3 days either. I lost all that time in my memory. I just wiped out. The first thing I can remember is being in the car park at the hospital, which was all very bizarre at the time. And I remember being driven home by my girlfriend at the time, my wife now. She had the bike on the back of the trailer. Thankfully, some guys at the track had helped put it back on the trailer, and her bursting into tears because I asked, as you do, I asked her how my bike was, and apparently I'd already asked her that about 15 times. Okay, so yeah, I wouldn't recommend jumping off a bike at 60-70 miles an hour and landing on your head. I really wouldn't. However, my gear did serve me very well, and save me. I'll put some pictures of my leathers and such up on the screen now as well. Those Danish leathers, still got them. Okay, I had them repaired, still got them. In fact, a couple of weeks later, I was doing a top speed run at RAF Woodford on the same bike. I'll put a picture of that up as well. You look at the picture here, you'll be able to see, if you look at the leathers, you can see that they're still scuffed because I didn't have time to repair them. I've managed to get the bike repaired, but not my leathers. If you're interested, by the way, the bike through a radar trap hit 171.2 miles an hour, so not a slow bike by any stretch of the imagination. A great bike it was, really good. So there you go. One other thing I should say is fantastic medical staff on hand at circuits all around the country. Like I say, I've done many track days and I've seen them pick people up. Okay, on the longer video that I didn't show, there was a 60-second gap between that bike stopped spinning, and it was very good of it, by the way, to stop spinning facing me. There was a 60-second gap before there was an ambulance alongside me. Okay, scooped me off the track, put me in the back, and they took me straight to hospital. 60 seconds. This is one of the many reasons why a circuit is the best place to do this kind of thing. If you want to go out hooning on a Sunday morning down country lanes and such, cool, but you end up in a ditch or hit a lamppost or something, how long could you be waiting there until somebody comes to get you? The circuit is definitely by far the safest place to do something like that. Okay, so there you go. That's me talking through my worst riding ever and what happens when you have a high side. I hope that was of interest to you. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.